Many people believe they need to be motivated to exercise, to study, or to improve themselves. And if they don't have that motivation, they'll procrastinate and do nothing. This is a very common mistake that many people make. The interesting thing, and what I'll demonstrate in this video, is that we can easily overcome procrastination by following one simple principle. What I'm about to present is not the usual advice we hear. It's not something taught in school. So you're likely to learn a lot of new things in this video. You've probably heard phrases like, "Today I don't feel like working," "I'm not in the mood to do homework," or "I don't feel like writing a report for the company." This happens when we face tasks that are difficult and complex. Difficult and complex tasks will be more intimidating for us to start. We tend to procrastinate until the last minute, which we will be putting ourselves into panic mode, pushing us to do the necessary work. Even then, we are still being distracted by chores. Let me just check Facebook for a bit first. Or I'll finish this article, and then I'll start. This situation is often accompanied by a feeling of guilt because we know we need to do something but keep delaying it. However, even under time pressure, we still can't find the motivation to get started. This is a pretty common example. Another example is that we all know that being good at Spanish is beneficial for work and life. We also know that to become proficient in anything, the only way is to sit down and practice. In other words, we know exactly what we need to do to be more successful. But the problem is, we still can't find the motivation to sit down and study, and so the days pass, even a lifetime. This causes us to miss out on successes we could have achieved if we hadn't procrastinated. Anyone can succeed, and most of us know what we need to do to achieve success. The only difference between success and failure is that success requires you to take action. So, are successful people endowed with some special superpower, always bursting with motivation to get to work? What's their secret to overcoming the fatigue that hits when facing tough and complex tasks? It all boils down to a very simple realization that took me a while to understand. This realization stems from a fundamental misunderstanding that most of us have. We grow up so accustomed to the phrase, "I don't feel like doing something." We hear it so often that we gradually form a default belief that we need to feel inspired to do anything. Therefore, we don't do anything unless we feel inspired. And this is a harmful misunderstanding that many people fail to recognize. Inspiration and motivation come only after we start working, not before, as we often believe. If you keep waiting for motivation to show up before starting, it might be a delay on achieving your goal, and that's how you fail. The truth is our bodies operate in a way that motivation comes only after we begin working on something specific. If we wait for motivation to start, we get caught in a negative loop. No motivation means no action. No action means less motivation, and so on, until we end up accomplishing nothing. So how do we defeat procrastination? The key is to force yourself to sit down and work even without motivation. Try to recall. I'm sure all of us have experienced this before. After about 10 to 15 minutes of focused work, you will find yourself getting into the flow. As we think through issues, solutions start to emerge, or even if they don't, we find other ways to solve problems. This leads to more interest, gradually helping us tackle one problem after another until we complete the entire task. This creates a positive loop. The more we do, the more inspired we become, and the more inspired we are, the more we want to keep going. However, the key point is to get through those first 5 to 10 minutes when you don't feel motivated. So the next important question is, how do we force ourselves through those initial 5 to 10 minutes? The answer is, we simply force ourselves to sit down with the belief that we only need to work for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then everything will become more interesting. Or another way is to trick ourselves with a small trick. Suppose the task you need to complete is very complicated. Then pick a few of the simplest tasks from your list and trick yourself by saying, "Okay, I'll just do these few simple things, and then I can rest. I just need to sit down and work for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then I can rest." This method mainly tricks our bodies into thinking we're working. And most of the time, after working for a while, we get attached to active work and it will carry us through until completion. This is a small trick you can use to get past the initial 5 to 10 minutes At first, you just need to start with our small mind trick. Once you get used to them, you won't need to use these tricks anymore. At that point, you will develop the habit of working without needing inspiration. What I've shared with you today is based on my own experiences and personal growth journey. When I was younger, I struggled with procrastination for a long time until I realized that inspiration only comes after we sit down and start working. If you wait for motivation to start, it will rarely come. Yes, it can happen sometimes, but it's rare. Once I understood this simple key, I began using tricks like the ones I've shared to trick myself into starting, and eventually, I no longer needed these tricks. Now, I know that as long as I sit down and start working, the work itself will inspire me in a short time. My whole day is filled with activities that keep me engaged and motivated. These are just small tips, but they've been incredibly helpful in my life. I can honestly say that they are a big part of the success I've achieved today. I hope these experiences will help you overcome procrastination, find motivation for what you need to do, and eventually reach the success and goals you desire. I'll end the video here. If you found this video helpful, please share it with your friends and family. As always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you.